The history of the 1990 Lincoln cent is an important chapter in the long-running story of the United States 1-cent coin, and it reflects a moment of transition in both American coinage technology and the cultural significance of the Lincoln design. The year 1990 arrived at a time when the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for more than 80 years, and its design, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner, had become one of the most familiar images in American life. By the start of the 1990s, the coin had gone through many changes in composition and production methods, and it served as a window into the evolution of the U.S. mint's manufacturing processes. The 1990 cent is notable because it is part of the era when the mint was fully committed to the copper-plated zinc composition first introduced in 1982 as a response to rising copper prices. This change was important because it marked the beginning of a modern cent that was cheaper to produce, lighter in weight, and more cost-efficient for the mint. By 1990, the production of these copper-plated zinc cents was well established, and the mint had refined the methods used to bond the copper layer to the zinc core, ensuring durability and consistency for billions of coins entering circulation. To understand the importance of the 1990 cent, it helps to look back at the broader context of the Lincoln cent's history. The coin was first released in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it became the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure. This made the cent a landmark in American numismatics and paved the way for many future designs. Over the decades, the reverse design changed from the wheat ears used from 1909 to 1958 to the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1990, the Lincoln Memorial reverse had been in use for 31 years, and it had become equally iconic, especially because it subtly included a small depiction of the statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, visible between the columns when examined under magnification. The year 1990 also sits within a period of extremely high production numbers for the cent. The U.S. mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver were producing billions annually to meet the nationwide demand for small denomination coinage. Philadelphia struck cents without a mint mark, while Denver cents carried the familiar D mint mark. San Francisco struck proof cents for collectors, and in 1990 something unusual happened with the San Francisco proofs. A small number of proof cents were mistakenly released without the S mint mark, and these became known as the famous 1990 no S proof cents. This error is extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors, and it gives the 1990 cent a special place in modern numismatic history. Such errors occurred because proof coins required a separate mint mark punching process, and on rare occasions, the punch was not applied to the die, leading to the creation of coins bearing no mint mark. Production quality during this period also reflects technological improvements in die preparation. The mint was shifting from older die polishing methods toward more modern machining and laser processes, which improved the clarity of details in the design. This explains why many 1990 cents, especially proof examples, exhibit sharp details in Lincoln's portrait and crisp lines in the Lincoln Memorial. The high quality of the dies also meant that even circulation strikes can appear well-defined and attractive. For collectors, the 1990 cent is often examined for the strength of its strike, overall eye appeal, and the presence of any doubling or die varieties, though major varieties for this year are uncommon compared with other dates. Beyond physical production, the 1990 cent represents an era when the penny was becoming increasingly controversial in economic discussions. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, many economists questioned whether the cent should remain in production because inflation had reduced its purchasing power and the cost of minting was approaching or exceeding its face value. Despite these debates, the cent remained firmly in production, and the 1990 issuance illustrates The continued public reliance on the denomination for everyday transactions, including sales tax calculations, retail pricing, and cash-based commerce. Culturally, the 1990 cent continued to serve as a symbolic link to Abraham Lincoln and to American values of unity, leadership, and perseverance. Millions of people used the cent in 1990 without giving it much thought, yet the image of Lincoln on the coin served as a constant reminder of a figure who shaped the nation. The Lincoln Memorial reverse reinforced this symbolism by displaying the monument dedicated to honoring Lincoln's legacy in Washington, D.C. For young collectors in the 1990s, the cent remained the most accessible entry point into coin collecting, and the 1990 issues were among the coins they would encounter in pocket change, starting their journey into numismatics. The rarity of the 1990 no-S proof cent added a sense of excitement to the year, making it one of the standout modern rarities of the series. Only a very small number of these coins are known, and they command high prices because they combine modern minting history with the thrill of a dramatic minting error. Collectors often compare it to the other famous no-S varieties like the 1971, 1975, and 1983 proof errors, making the 1990 example one of the more desirable modern coins. As the decade progressed, the 1990 cent remained common in circulation, but still important to collectors because it represents the early years of the modern zinc era. It also serves as a snapshot of a transitional period in U.S. minting technology and an example of how even a widely circulated coin can hold historical and cultural value. Examining a 1990 cent today provides insight into how the mint adapted to changing economic conditions, improved manufacturing techniques, and continued the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln's image on America's most produced coin. The 1990 Lincoln cent also reflects the broader story of how the United States Mint balanced tradition with modernization during the late 20th century. The mint had to serve a vast and growing economy, while also preserving the artistic and historical elements that made the Lincoln cent a cultural landmark. As America entered the 1990s, the nation was experiencing economic shifts, including changes in manufacturing, global trade, and consumer habits, and these changes subtly influenced how coinage was produced and used. Small denomination coins like the cent were still essential for pricing strategies in stores and for the millions of cash transactions happening every day across the country. The technological environment at the Mint in 1990 was far more advanced than it had been just a decade earlier. The increasing use of computer-aided engraving and precision die-making allowed artists and engravers to maintain the fine details of the Lincoln design with greater consistency. The portrait of Lincoln on the obverse retained its character while benefiting from subtle refinements that made the coin sharper and more uniform. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse continued to show the iconic building with its column steps and the miniature representation of the statue of Lincoln at the center. These details had to remain faithful to the original 1959 reverse created by Frank Gasparo, and the Mint took great care to keep the design crisp, even. As die technology changed, another important aspect of the 1990 cent is the role it played in the growing discussions of coinage efficiency and cost analysis. Since the cent had been shifted to copper-plated zinc in the early 1980s, the Mint carefully monitored how the new composition behaved in circulation. By 1990, it was clear that the zinc core struck with a thin layer of copper was holding up well under everyday use. At the same time, studies examined how long the coins lasted in circulation and how the public perceived the change in weight and appearance. Many people noticed little difference, while some older collectors still preferred the heavier copper cents of earlier years, but the new composition was becoming widely accepted.